Welcome to the Computer Chronicles.
A computer that can talk thanks to a built-in speech chip. A computer with exceptionals.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by CompuServe, featuring an online reference library, Wall Street reports, at-home shopping, airline reservations, game. McGraw-Hill publishes a Byte. Byte's detailed technical articles on new hardware, software, and languages cover developments in computer technology worldwide.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and this is Gary Kildall. Gary, I'm playing a game called Interceptor here from Electronic Arts. It's a new F-18 flight simulation game written for the Amiga, and as you can see, the graphics and the sound are spectacular in this thing. When you talk about the Amiga 110...
Well, Stuart, part of it is the Commodore heritage. The Commodore brand name is associated with the low-end computers. When it first came out, it was pitted up against the Atari 520 ST. 520 ST was about $500, and this came out at about $1,500, so it really didn't match up. And moving up market is difficult because, of course, there's distribution channels that they didn't have established. There's a accumulated software base we found with the Mac and the IBM PC, and the Amiga just didn't have that. Now we're starting to see some really good software being written for the Amiga, so that situation may change. Okay, Gary, we're going to take a look at the new Amiga 500 and the Amiga 2000, and we'll see some of the new exciting software that is being written for the Amiga. We're going to begin by going to Oakland, California, and taking a look at a man who uses an Amiga plus DigiView and Deluxe Paint to make a living as a professional photographer and designer.
Larry Keenan is a San Francisco photographer who has added the Amiga to his collection of photographic equipment. Working with a video camera, a digitizer, and a software package called DigiView, Larry can create new images directly on screen.
Basically, it's a logical it allows me to take a photograph that I've already have in a stock file and resize it, take out elements. For instance, you have a favorite photograph that you want to use for something, and it's got telephone lines all in it.
Larry is well known for his ad work and magazine covers, and increasingly for his artwork decorating software packages. The computer gives him a definite advantage in dealing with the deadlines imposed by commercial work, and it lets him be more independent.
And this is the main difference in this technology. It allows artists, photographers, illustrators, anyone in the art field to take an image, digitize it on their own terms, and present it, rather than being a victim of a technician basically doing it, and you have no input, none.
Making the switch from a sharp lens to a fuzzy monitor is not without its problems. Larry regrets the low resolution of a computer screen compared to photographic film.
Heidi's an animator with Five Rings Company in Southern California. Next to Heidi is Adams Douglas, Director of Product Development with Micro Illusions in Southern California. Gary?
Heidi, you're now using computers to help you with classical animation techniques. Why did you choose an Amiga over an IBM machine, though?
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. Now, you have a program here, a Photon, I guess, that you're using for your animation. Can you show us how it works?
Here's an animation pencil test that I shot of my 10-drawing cycle of a galloping horse. And I'm able to test the animation at home, alter the drawings, redigitize them, and save them back to disk until
so
I
these black and white
polished
drawings are not drawn on the machine itself, they're done externally then?
That's right.
Okay.
And what was your next step after this?
At this point, I animated a rider on a separate level, digitized that, mapped it onto the galloping horse frames, saved them separately so that I can always refer to a horse alone if I want to. And then I called them up in a paint program and colored them.
Could you pull that up for us? And while you're loading that version, Adams, let me ask you about the software she's using. What's it called and how does it work?
Okay, this is the Cell Animator module of our Photon Video line of products. And they're a set of modules you can use for...
Usually graphics pictures, they take an awful lot of storage. So how much memory does it require to do animation?
Usually you can fit on an 8 megabyte Amiga, which is what we got sitting here. Depending on the graphics mode, if you're in pencil test mode, which is takes up the least space, you can fit well over 1,000 frames.
Oh, okay.
And the longer, more complex colored sequences, you can go down. It goes down to like 100 frames. but you have great versatility in the way you can play those frames back out, so it's not as much of a constraint as it would be if you were only playing it back on the screen.
Heidi, how are we doing with the next generation of the horse here?
Well, we've loaded up the last frame.
And?
I'm going to call it up here.
Uh-huh.
And here we have the full color version of the previous scene.
Now, how do you do the coloring process here? Do you color each individual frame?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Of the fill color. This is something that is impossible due to the man-hour requirements were it to be done in traditional cell animation.
Now, how about the video, excuse me, Stuart, how about the video output from this? Is this commercially usable, like for broadcast, for example?
Well, apparently with a third-party Genlock product that has just come out on the market, it is. And I'm going to be anxious to test that myself.
Heidi, you've got another demonstration with a background in it. I want to ask you to load that up also now, and I want to ask you one more question while Heidi's doing that. What kind of hardware configuration do you need to run something like Photon Cell Animator?
It will run on a standard Amiga with, we would recommend at least a megabyte of memory, and you could load...
You could run it on a 500, you're saying?
Oh yeah, you could run it on a 500 easily. There's no special hardware video requirements. Those are added as options depending on what you want to do with what you create.
Okay, Heidi, what do we have now?
What we have here is a full color animation sequence that I built from my original pencil drawings using the Amiga computer. I utilized the computer to color each frame, pick them up onto the full color background that I painted using the Photon Paint program, saved each discrete frame to disk. There are 80 frames here, and colored each frame myself in the computer.
Okay, very nice. What does this mean to the animation industry?
Well, it means that I, as an individual classical animator, can produce my own full-color animation sequence in my own home.
All right, so you can be competitive with big studios. Huh?
You bet.
Heidi, thank you very much. In just a minute, we'll take a look and listen to the music capabilities of the Amiga with a hot new program called Music X, so stay with us. Joining us in the studio now is David.
Amiga can be used for professional animation. What does an Amiga do for you as a musician?
Well, it allows me to essentially set up a multi-track recording studio in my home. The synthesizers nowadays all have what is called MIDI, which stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. It's like a set of agreements between various music synthesizer manufacturers as to how their various instruments can communicate with each other. And the computer can receive that information and process it in various ways. And I will now attempt to record a performance and show you how it works. I'll set the tempo to some reasonable value, 131 quarter notes per minute. I'll now start to record. The drum machine, which has been synchronized to the computer, will automatically start.
So now you're making a digital recording then.
And you can see it's got controls just like a tape recorder, fast forward, rewind, and play. This program has been designed to work on various levels. On the surface level, it's very simple, but at the same time, you can dig down deep into its innards and sort of...
But right now what you do is you recorded one segment of music, and how many segments can you record now?
You can record up to 250 segments in the computer, although 20 of them can play at once.
Okay. Can you show us how you manage some of those segments?
Here's the editing screen. Well, there's various different editors. I'll show you the simplest one, which is the bar editor.
What you have?
Well, I'll show you some of the other screens. There is the librarian screen, which allows you to send sound data to the synthesizer and make the synthesizer play different sounds. You can store the various patches from the synthesizer onto disk. There's going to be, let's see, we have filters. What these allow you to do is process your playing in real time to change your performances. Here's an example of, this takes a second to load, the key map editor, which allows you to redefine the behavior of the musical keyboard, sort of like musical keyboard macros, which you can assign a sequence of notes to a key on the keyboard. And I've always been interested in the idea of sort of co-composition, co-performance, not just a human composing and not just a computer composing all by itself, but together in a synthesis. There's a lot of things that I'm interested in developing in experimental techniques in music.
So you see this is more of a combination of the talents of the machine and the talents of the
Exactly.
David, what does Music X do that's new in terms of this kind of music software?
Well, it's new in the sense that it's affordable. It runs on a machine that's affordable and a machine that has color. the Amiga is a very creative machine. I think it has a very creative spirit to it. And I think that many musicians are attracted to that, and they're dying for an excuse to buy one.
Adams, MusicX is in development now, right? I mean, you're still working on this thing. When's this going to hit the market?
This will be out in about 2 months.
Okay, and you said it's reasonable. What will it cost?
$290, I believe, something like that.
Although by the time
Manage this.
Well, I think the program can adapt to various levels of talent. If you're an amateur musician, sort of like I am, I'm really a sort of a musician techie, I like to be able to compose on a screen because I'm not that great of a keyboard player. But on the other hand, I want something that the professional can also use and in his work.
One last question. We've heard of the Atari ST a lot from musicians. How does that compare to an Amiga for what you're doing?
Well, I think the Amiga is a little bit more polished in the way it's designed. And I'm hoping that MusicX will be able to support a lot more features because of the multitasking power of the Amiga.
David, Adams, thank you very much. Now we know about the music and graphics capabilities of the Amiga. There are also scientific applications on the Amiga. Wendy Woods has a report from the Smith Kettlewell Eye Research Foundation in San Francisco.
These are two of dozens of visual experiments being conducted at San Francisco's Smith Kettlewell Eye Research Foundation. Nakayama creates these experiments using Amigas, running deluxe paint software from Electronic Arts.
Well, the Amiga, especially at the time that it emerged about 2 years ago, was really the only thing on the block to do the kind of things that we wanted to do. It has a really great graphics capability, as you're probably aware. It has special hardware which enables you to move images around without even the CPU knowing it's happening, essentially. So you can just do things very, very fast. You can't do it on the previous machine.
Dr. Nakayama feels that Amigas and micros in general are opening a whole new field of vision research. The motion that you can achieve on a computer screen simply cannot be duplicated by standard eye tests. People here are pioneering the use of low-cost micros with technically sophisticated graphics in vision research. And eventually, these Amiga graphics experiments may end up in clinical settings to test actual patients with vision problems. In San Francisco, for the Computer Chronicles, I'm Wendy Woods.
Paul Montgomery.
Stuart, so far we've seen the Amiga used for animation and for a musician's tool. We have a TV camera sitting here, so I guess we've covered all the bases.
We're up to video on the Amiga.
Tim, why did you choose the Amiga as a target for your product, a video product?
Well, the Amiga, of all the computers on the market, is really most well suited for video use. Right out of the box, it's without any other display cards. It's got NTSC video, can display 4,096 colors at once, which is really enough to get a photographic quality image on the screen. Plus, with certain coprocessor chips and internal circuits, it's really a powerhouse. It's got the throughput and the horsepower to do what we need to do.
And what does your product consist of?
Well, the video toaster is a peripheral that turns the Amiga into a professional video box. It really consists of 4 main sections. First of all, it's a display card, and it carries the Amiga past 4,096 colors, so you can display really millions of colors on the screen at once with more resolution. And certain Amiga software packages can already take advantage of that increased resolution and color. Second, it's a frame grabber or a video digitizer, so it can grab frames from a VCR or a camera 60 times a second in full color. You can use that all by itself to capture frames for saving on disk and later recall. You can import the images into a paint program and do cut and paste operations, for example.
We'll see how it works.
Okay. First of all, we're looking at the toaster now displaying live video 60 times a second.
This is coming off the camera that's sitting on our desk right here.
The camera runs into the toaster, and the toaster runs into this monitor. I can slow down the frame rate so you can see that it is really capturing images. If you want to move your hand, Gary, you can see that it's really...
A little delay there.
Yeah. Okay, some of the effects it can do. This is tumbling around the x-axis, tumbling around the y-axis. This is a zoom.
Well, these are typically effects that would be very expensive if you hadn't be by broadcast quality kind of material. Yeah.
These effects might cost $20,000 on up to $300,000 to do with traditional video equipment. This is a moving blind effect. Here's a quad mosaic, and then it's kind of a kaleidoscope effect there. This is a 16-level mosaic. And we can do a receding mosaic, which is kind of interesting. And zoom in, and we can do what we call an infinity slide, like a infinity mirror effect you'd see at the barber shop. Here's a mirror effect reflected around the center. This is called pixelization. It's a very popular effect in commercials. It gives it kind of a high-tech computer look. This is called a push-on. This is used widely. So the more software we write for the toaster, the more effects it'll do.
Paul, who's the customer for this kind of a board?
Well, the customer is one of the 7 million camcorder owners in the U.S. right now. It is education. It is corporate sales and training tapes. It's anyone who really has an interest in video or a need to do video. This will give them that slick television look that people are becoming accustomed to.
So, for example, if you have a small business and I wanted to have video in my PR department, then I could build it myself. Huh?
Absolutely right.
You don't see this right now replacing things like ADOs and professional quality broadcast effects equipment, do you, or do you, Tim?
Well, I do, because even if a station has these very high quality units, they're typically a kind of a precious resource, and you have to line up to use them. And if you're renting time on them, it's typically $300 an hour for the really top stuff. So now a small ad agency has access to this sort of thing, and even a TV news department has to line up for this sort of thing. Now they could get those effects very cheaply.
What would the next steps be? What are the things you're trying to add to the video toaster as you improve it?
We've got a number of add-on products planned for it. We'd really like to get the entire production process into a single box, and we're working on all the remaining bits and pieces to do that, so we can really truly have desktop video.
It's the marriage of personal computers and video. So it gives a much more professional quality to equipment that traditionally is very expensive. Using the computer technology, you can do it now fairly cheap.
Do you think the consumer is going to really be doing the full editing in their home in the future?
If it's easy enough,
Yeah.
and that's what we've really tried to keep in the system.
You see that trend?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, what's the toaster package consist of, Tim? I mean, what do you get and how much does this cost?
Well, for a whole system, you would need a VCR, a camera or a camcorder, the Amiga, and the toaster card. All told, you would pay somewhere around $2,000 for everything.
And how about the toaster product itself? I mean, what is that?
Toaster itself lists for $799.
Okay. And that's a board, and
it's a board that goes into the Amiga. Yeah.
do you see some combination, as Gary mentioned? We've seen music and we've seen animation so far in this program, now video, of really taking these things together and going into a real comprehensive, creative work environment?
Absolutely, yeah.
And are you guys working on that in any direction, or working with other?
We're working on an NTSC Paint program that would take the output of this and manipulate it in millions of colors, an animation product, a titling product. So I see that, and it's also compatible with all Amiga software.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. That's our look at the Commodore Amiga. Hope we'll see you here again next week on the Computer Chronicles. Software maker Broderbund has announced a new venture with 11 Japanese partners to convert successful Japanese software titles to popular American computer formats. The new joint venture, called Kyodai Software, will be based in San Rafael, California. They're promising 12 new software titles in the first year. Symantec, most well known for its MS-DOS programs such as Q&A, has unveiled 5 new software packages for the Macintosh. The programs include a planning, writing, and presentation package called More2, an electronic mail system called Inbox, and 3 program development packages in C and Pascal. Time for this week's software review. Here's Paul Schindler.
You know, a blank spreadsheet can be anything, but above all, it's intimidating. It is, in short, a tool so flexible that it's useless, kind of like a personal computer without software. Microsoft Excel can sometimes seem that way, which can help you figure out how to make the most of your spreadsheet, like this guided tour of Excel, itself written in Excel. It shows you how you can take advantage of the software's power. Or there's this income tax worksheet template from the sample disk. It sure beats writing your own from scratch. Each of these came from another user, like you, who felt it would be useful. They sent it to Heiser, who charges customers from $5 to $50 and shares the proceeds with the authors. So spend $4 for the sample disk, or see if Heiser wants to distribute your template. Microsoft Excel templates from Heiser Software in Pleasant Hill, California. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
The new video display safety law in Suffolk County, New York, has gotten lots of press attention lately, but last week, NYNEX threatened that it would close its directory assistance operation on Long Island because of the new VDT law. NYNEX says the law imposes unnecessary costs on the company, which would have to be passed on to consumers. The Suffolk County VDT law requires employers to provide visual rest breaks, non-glare screens, and free eye care. Computer researchers at Carnegie Mellon University say they've come up with a new sophisticated speech recognition system that can understand any human voice speaking at a normal, rapid rate. The system is called Sphinx. It currently has a 1,000-word vocabulary. Finally, scientists at the Hughes Research Lab in California say they've developed a prototype for the first three-dimensional stacked microprocessor. The chunk of silicon is about the size of a tuna fish can. It includes 1,024 separate processors in a 32 by 32 array. The researchers say they hope to build a 3D chip with more than 16,000 processors that could have the power of the world's largest supercomputer, but use only 50 watts of power and be small enough to fit in your hand. That's it for this week's Random Access. We'll see you next time.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by CompuServe, featuring an online reference library, Wall Street reports, at-home shopping, airline reservations, games, and hundreds of other services. CompuServe, helping people get the most from computers. Additional funding is provided by
Script of this week's Computer Chronicles. Send $3 to PTV Publications, Post Office Box 701, Kent, Ohio 44240. Please indicate program date.
This is a U.S. Army helicopter flight simulator at NASA's Ames Research Center. Army helicopter flight simulator at NASA's Ames Research Center in California. When the scientists here needed a computer that could handle the fast graphics and multitasking, look at the underrated and too often ignored Amiga. On this edition, a look at the underrated and too often ignored Amiga on this edition of the Computer Chronicles. Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and this is Gary Kildall. Gary, this is an optical worm drive, and with something called a handler, you can get a gigabyte of storage in your computer. These are 3D glasses used with a very high-powered CAD program. What's interesting about both these peripherals, they're not for a Mac II or a 386 PC, they're for the Commodore Amiga.
Okay.
Gary, I get a lot of letters, PC, they're for the Commodore Amiga.
Okay.
Gary, I get a lot of letters from viewers complaining about the fact that the computer press seems to ignore the Amiga. Why is that?
And of course, they still maintained a fairly low price. Now that low price has been sort of a negative in a sense. Maintained a fairly low price. Now that low price has been sort of a negative in a sense.
People are wary.
Yeah.
Right.
When we're really getting all when we're really getting all the computing power they really need. But there have been some especially good niche markets these machines are applicable to. For example, video. Amiga handles video very, very well. And of course, the other factor is the marketing power of IBM and Apple in the United States. And machines like this tend to have more success than outside the United States.
Gary,
success than outside the United States.
Gary, we're going to take a look at the latest Amiga hardware. The 2000 HD and the 2500. We'll see new Amiga applications.
About 30 miles south of San Francisco is the Stanford Linear Accelerator, a 2-mile-long shaft buried deep underground, where high-energy particles are propelled at almost the speed of light. The particles collide in large detectors, where the resulting explosion creates several million events. To sift through that mass of data and extract the useful information requires staggering computing power, as databases containing that information will soon approach 1 trillion bytes in size. Recently, theorists and researchers at the center added Amigas to their number-crunching mainframes, principally as graphics terminals and for multitasking.
The Amiga was unique in that it was a multitasking machine, and we realized that early that could create an environment where you would always be on the mainframe if you wish to be, sharing the mainframe, and still have a machine which acted not as something independent, but rather as a symbiote off the mainframe.
Dr. Weinstein uses his Amiga to juggle up to 4 different programs running on either the mainframe, the Amiga, or both. He can take advantage of the Amiga's color graphics and the mainframe's calculating powers simultaneously. A locally written terminal program is compatible with the Rex language operating on the mainframe, so documents can be transferred seamlessly from mainframe to Amiga and back. For Dr. Weinstein, it's a way to bridge the best of 2 inherently different worlds.
One is always going to be living with a mainframe. So what I want is something that will symbiote off that mainframe, will make my life as pleasant as it is to work on a microcomputer, but allow me to use that when I'm on the mainframe too.
Lou, you're a fan of the Amiga system. Why do you like the Amiga better than, say, an IBM PC or a Mac or something like that? What do we have here? I mean, what kind of configuration is this? Just give us an idea what's inside the box.
Well, this is the Amiga 2000 HD. This particular model is a 3 megabyte machine. It has a 40 megabyte hard drive auto boot system. It with a graphic resolutions of 320, 200 to 640, 400, 4,000 colors, speech, multitasking.
And processor is what?
That's Motorola 68,000, running at approximately 8 megahertz.
Right. Good. Tom?
Running at approximately 8 megahertz.
Right. Good. Tom, now you've got a game that demonstrates the graphics, right? In the
yeah, I have a couple of games today.
Okay.
Both games are very different and show off the machine to its best degree. And the first game is called Menace, and it's a true arcade quality style game. It's
well, let's go and take a look at it.
Yeah,
Great.
I understand Lou's a pretty hot Menace player.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to ask you
we're going to have to.
I'm going to ask you to describe it, but to turn the mouse and the pad over to Lou.
Okay.
Now I'm on the spot.
You're on the spot now.
Here you go. Okay.
Okay, and if you can get it going, and maybe give us play-by-play, Tom, as Lou starts to play, and tell us what's going on here.
Okay, the object of this game is to capture the planet Draconia.
Okay.
And as you can see, it's done in full overscan, which means that the entire screen is being utilized. Okay. It's got great sound.
Is this underwater, Lou? Is that what's going on?
Yes, this is Master Alien.
You're a super menace.
I've never gotten the last creature yet, so, but maybe tonight.
It's a good thing your name isn't Dennis, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm going to ask you to dump out a Menace and get Battle Chess up, okay?
Great.
And while you're doing that, tell us about Battle Chess, Lou. What kind of game is that?
Well, Battle Chess is your typical chess game. I mean, it's.
We have Battle Chess up on the Amiga now. Show us how this works.
Okay, we're going to have this knight overtake the blue knight.
Okay, so the red knight's going to take the blue knight.
Correct.
But this would be a normal chess move, right? It's a knight move capturing a knight.
Yes, it is. Great graphics.
Okay.
Great sound.
Okay, but in this game, they actually beat each other up, huh?
The final outcome is preordained, just like in normal chess, but you get to watch a little humor. Some of them are very creative. This is right out of Monty Python.
Chops his arms off and his legs off.
Ouch.
Lou, does this have value, you think, to encourage kids to play chess because of the graphics?
It certainly does. I mean,
move?
Right.
Okay.
Pretty mean.
Poor bits on the game. These are just games and they're not important, but what does it show us about what the Amiga can do?
Well, games have always taken more computer power than just about any other application. And the same power that's channeled for games and graphics can be used in more productive applications such as business, productivity software, and multitasking, which all Amigas can do.
Right, and they've done that for quite a number of years.
From day one.
Exactly.
In fact, they're the only computer that has multitasking built in in the operating system from the base up.
Now, you have some examples that show off the multitasking.
Yes, I do. I'm going to show a quick little scenario here of what I consider a real-world application. Traditionally, I always start up a virus program to watch for viruses and Trojan horses because you never know when you're going to pick up one. Then I'm going to load up a partially completed document into just a standard word processor. But what I want to do is take some data from a spreadsheet, which I did not push it to the background, and you can see that it's the word processor still plate, which is a sales history of the Acme. Back into the word processor, position my cursor, and paste it in. There you see the data is now part of the document. But to go a little further, I'm going to incorporate some graphics as well and go to yet another program.
So you're up to the fourth thing you're running at the same time?
There's actually more tasks than that running because there's DOS and the workbench itself. So here I'm generating a three-dimensional pie graph of that same data, standard. Now, all I'm going to do is just clean it up a little bit before I put it in my document. Clear the screen, position it, and save it back. Let's go back to our word processor. Select Insert, which allows me to insert graphics into the document. Change to the appropriate drive. Click on the graphic, and it will be loaded into the memory of the word processor. And here you see I now have a graph, I have spreadsheet, and the work done the way my mind was working. And the Amiga allows you to do that.
That was a great demo. Lou, Tom, thank you very much. In just a minute, we're going to take a look at Deluxe Paint 3 for the Amiga. We'll also take a look at Video Effects 3D. First of all, though, if we're talking about the Amiga, we have to talk about its music capability, and Wendy Woods has a report on that.
E, also known as Eric Myers, and Mike Kingsley are in a band called Me. They do their composing in E's converted garage on a variety of electronic musical instruments, all controlled via a MIDI interface by an Amiga. Why an Amiga? It's reasonably priced. The software currently available fits their needs. And the custom sound and graphics of the Commodore machine, they say, set it apart from the rest.
As computers are in the past, they're blind and they can't hear. This computer, I believe, is the first human-like computer in that it can see and it can hear, in that it can take in a sample of sound, it can take and digitize a picture. And what that's going to be great for is it's going to be great for art, it's going to be great for being able to express yourself.
The software used to create this music is called Texture from SoundQuest. The program enables them to store 24 tracks on disk, digitally record and control sounds made by the keyboards and sampler, and to play them back from the computer. In Performance, they use a program called Performance, which supports any MIDI file format.
As the author of Deluxe Paint 3, and next to Dan is Jim Schneider, president of Innovision Technology.
Jim, on the last segment, there was a machine here that said Amiga 2000, and this one says Amiga 2500. What's the difference between those two?
Right, this has just been updated. This is a brand new version of the Amiga 2000 series. It's called the Amiga 2500.
Okay.
And this has a 14 megahertz processor, 68,000 processor, and it also contains a
package like this as retail price.
This advanced model with the accelerator would cost about $4,000 for the monitor and the basic Amiga 2500 system.
And can you compare it in, let's say, computing power with the Mac product line, for example?
Yes, with the Macintosh 2 specifically, this would gain a slight performance advantage in general processing. In addition, the graphics coprocessor built into all Amigas would give it the advantage in graphics.
All right, Dan, speaking of graphics, you're the author of Deluxe Paint. You've got Deluxe Paint 3 coming out in just a couple of weeks, I guess. What are the new improvements in Deluxe Paint 3?
Well, almost every aspect of the program has been enhanced. We've got the ability to paint and overscan, which gets rid of the black border around the picture. You use extra half-bright mode, is an Amiga mode that gives you 32 additional darker colors. And there's a new...
Slide the keyboard over to Jim there so we can get Video Effects 3D up. Let me ask you while he's getting ready, Dan, at what level is this kind of paint program being used? I mean, is this professional level graphics being created?
It's being used both by professionals and by 5-year-olds. It's probably the most popular paint program on the Amiga, and I found everyone uses it.
All right, Jim, what do you have?
I have a product called Video Effects 3D for the Amiga. This is designed primarily for the video graphics industry. This is a professional level product that allows the... I have a demo here of several sequences up to 1,000 pages of storage. I'll show you an example here. Here's an example title page that was created with the package. These are all standard fonts available on the Amiga system. I can play some of the effects that the graphics you're seeing here would normally be overlaid over video using a Genlock device, and this is as well a very high resolution package.
All right, Jim, that's very impressive. Now, you said this is being used at the professional level. Is this being used by TV networks now, for example?
Yes, it is. The actual Video Effects 3D and broadcast title have been used for professional commercials, national campaigns. It's even used in the Super Bowl for the Jumbotron scoreboard.
And what's the cost of your package?
Our Video Effects 3D is $199.95, and the broadcast titler is $299.95.
This is going to revolutionize the TV production business, I guess. Jim, Dan, thank you very much. That's our look at the new Amigas. We'll be back with this week's computer news in just a moment.
BIX, the Byte Information Exchange. In print and online, Byte and BIX serve computer professionals worldwide with detailed information on new hardware, software, and technologies.
For a transcript of this week's Computer Chronicles, send $4 to PTV Publications, Post Office Box...
Trade shows and sales meetings. And to do that, Jeff uses a computer he says offers the best combination of price and performance, the Amiga 3000. Now for Amiga fans, the rest of the world just doesn't seem to understand the beauty and power they find in this multimedia marvel from Commodore. Well, we'll try to help you understand today as we take a look at the latest hardware and software for the Amiga on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, which reminds you it's a federal offense to copy software.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and with me this week is Tim Baharan, Executive Vice President with Creative Strategies.
Thank you.
Tim, what we're looking at here on this VCR is a video. In this video, if we look carefully, we'll see use of a video switcher, obviously, a still store, a character generator, paint box, frame buffer, digital video effects, and so on. Yet this was not done in a professional studio facility. It was done on an Amiga personal computer using the video toaster board. Pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Despite this, the Amiga's kind of...
Well, Commodore suffered from the image of being a entertainment computer from the early days, and then also from what we call the chicken and egg syndrome. In order for them to attract software developers, they needed to have many machines on the market. But in order to have many machines on the market, you had to get distribution.
Right.
And because of all the competition and other things that were going on with other operating systems, they've really had some struggles. But they're starting to make a fairly strong comeback because of multimedia computing and things like this.
Well, Tim, today we look at the newest version of the Amiga, the Model 3000, and we'll see the newest software for the Amiga, including a brand new animation program from the Walt Disney Company, the new Amiga authoring system called Amiga Vision, and the newest version of the video toaster. Now, since the Amiga has not garnered a lot of dealer support or third-party developer support, Amiga users have had to figure things out the old-fashioned way with users groups. We're going to begin with a visit to the original Amiga users group in Palo Alto, California.
The first Amiga users group began life in 1985 with a handful of people meeting informally at a neighborhood church in Bellevue. Because of its increasing size, the monthly meeting is now held in the formal surroundings of a hotel conference room. It draws a mixture of Amiga aficionados ranging from computer hackers to Commodore 64 converts. Like most other users group, this one picks up where dealer support leaves off.
This sort of a club is intended to provide to the users basic information in developments in new computer technology that might apply to Amiga, new concepts and information about current product offerings, developments of previous product offerings, as well as an ability to solve problems that they might encounter in their computing.
The evening meeting consists of a question and answer session and, on occasion, a field report on an Amiga user. But unlike some support groups, FOG is also a forum where people and companies can come to show off their newest programs for the Amiga.
This user group was different because of the size of it. A lot of software companies sort of heard about us, and they were...
The newest version of the Amiga is the Model 3000, and here to show it off is...
There's been various models of Commodore Amigas over the last few years. What's different between the 3000 and, let's say, the last version, which was the 2500?
Well, the 2500 was a 68030 based machine, which was
built up from several different cards in our base 2000 machine. And what we've done with the 3000 is we've taken the general expansion cards that most people use and embedded them directly on the motherboard of the 3000. So for example, we have a hard disk controller built right onto the motherboard, 32 bits wide. We've got up to 16 megabytes of fast memory and 2 megabytes of chip memory directly on the motherboard. And we've got a display enhancer giving you better video output directly on the motherboard. All these things combined together, being the key peripherals that people used on 2500s, are integrated directly in the machine, and that allows us to bring the machine in at a lower cost for the consumer.
You've also got a new operating system, is that right?
Yes, we do. This is Amiga DOS 2.0. This is our new release of the operating system. It's very important for people because it's a much more professional environment to use. Some of the features of Amiga DOS are, as in many different machines, is we have preferences so that you can adjust the display to your own personal taste. For example, you can change the colors to whatever you feel is appropriate. There's also abilities to modify fonts. On this particular machine, we're running it in a VGA mode, and you can see that the fonts are very small here and they're difficult to read. So what I can do is I can pick much larger fonts and use those, and hence we have fonts, what we call fonts for the blind, or it's much easier for the people at home to see. In addition to this, we bundle the programs together so that people can do presentations. And this very small thing just demonstrates 3 screens that are put together using advanced later on in the program.
All right, Sam, I want to turn to you. And we all know the Amiga as an animation machine, as a creative machine, multimedia, and so on. And while Headley sort of reboots here so that you can get up. This is now, I understand, the first animation program out of the Disney people.
Yes,
who, of course, the animation people.
Yes.
And what was the theory in bringing this out on the Amiga platform first?
We brought out an Amiga because the Amiga has graphics capabilities that are very well suited to this particular type of display.
All right, show it to us. Let's see how this works.
I'm very happy to. Let's boot up here. Here's the animation studio. And what I'll do is I'll just create a very quick animation for our artistic endeavor. But it allows me to get very accurate control over what's happening, and I can see what's going on in the background, which allows me an incredible amount of easy-to-use animation package. We also wanted to not just drop the user off there, we wanted to help them out by providing a variety of animations. You can see that I can see through this and study it. We provide several of these that cover all of the basics of animation. In addition, we've included animations from the morgue, films and shorts, and this is what a Disney animator was. The program also fully supports color, and what I'll do is I'll take one of the included animations and color it in for you very quickly. Here's a bird demonstrating the basic notion of flight, and what I'll do
This is mainly to give them greater control?
The reason that you color this way is because it's an emulation of the way it's done traditionally. And as you can see, it's actually very fast.
Wow, that's great.
And it is animators and said, what would you do with this package? And that's this animation here. It's included with the package.
Now this was created using this software?
It was painted and superimposed on the backgrounds with the package. And he strikes a key.
It's just like work.
That's great, great.
Only from Disney.
And Tim, as you were saying before, this is really the advantage this machine has in doing this particular kind of work. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, while the Commodore Amiga has never gained the market acceptance of maybe an IBM or an Apple, it can gloat just a little bit for over at Hewlett-Packard, where they make some pretty good computers too. When they wanted a computer to do animation, they bought an Amiga. Here's a report.
D was the correct answer.
Engineers at Hewlett-Packard use the HP corporate television network to feed technical training and product updates to HP staff around the country. To illustrate some of the abstract technical concepts and the inner workings of the HP products, the engineers use colorful 2D animations created on an Amiga 2500. The video producers at HP's Information Technology Education Network.
One of the things was the fact that I could import art would fit, found the software I needed that could easily move images around, and that's how we chose it.
Using pen and paper, the producer initially creates a storyboard with the engineer. Then, with deluxe productions from Electronic Arts, he puts together an animation sequence on the Amiga graphics workstation. Any changes the engineer wants to make to the drawing can then be made by simply modifying the objects around with the mouse.
And then to see this thing come to life on the screen, again where the instructor can point, annotate, and even walk into the graphic using a blue screen is pretty exciting. It gets them involved.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
The Macintosh has HyperCard, the Windows PC toolbook, and the Amiga 3000 now comes bundled with Amiga Vision. Here to show us the new Amiga authoring system is Lou Wallace, Senior Editor for Technology with Amiga World Magazine, and joining us again, Hedley Davis of Commodore. Tim?
When I think of authoring systems, I usually think of really complicated programs, but I understand this is really easy to use and more iconic. Tell us a little bit more about how you view authoring systems.
Well, as far as Amiga Vision, as far as an authoring system, is really an icon-based, object-oriented graphic programming language. It can be used for presentations or for full-featured programming tasks. The basic command structure is set here in this main menu where you have a variety of different things: control icons, interrupt programming, database, and it has a DBase 3 compatible. I didn't really define what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So if I was to double-click on the screen icon, I bring up where I put in all the parameters for the commands. Clicking on the directory command button here, I can load up a predefined, allows me to create interactive hotspots on the screen. And here I've loaded the image to preview on the screen. And here I've loaded the image to preview, and I'm going to or colors or whatever I need to do.
And I guess, Hedley, the interesting thing here is the AV part of it, right, where you're able to bring into this program all kinds of AV sources.
Yeah, one of the important things about the machine is your ability to take video and overlay it on top of your computer output. So we can take computer graphics, video from video disk, audio samples, and combine them all together into a cohesive thing.
Or even animation.
And animation, computer-generated digital animation.
All right, Lou, you've got an example of that, I think, next.
Yeah, I do. This is something I did in about 30 minutes. I used a ray tracing animation package, and I generated an animated ray trace skeleton, a human skeleton. I have text windows here for information, and hotspots on the screen where I can just click on something and something will happen. In this case, I zoomed in on the ray trace skeleton.
What about video?
Okay.
Video coming from the video disk.
The metaphor I used here was that of a book, an encyclopedia. If there was something I was interested in here, I could simply click on it and we'd get a full motion video sequence. If it wasn't something I liked on this day, they were interested in leafcutter bees, for example. I can click on that, and the laser disc will be activated, and we will combine computer graphics down here with full motion video and sound.
The leafcutter bee
this is completely controllable by the user. For example, if there was a frame here that I was particularly interested in to study, I could just click on it on the frame and pause wherever I liked. And then if I didn't really like that, I'd hit the done button and go back to the menu.
And again, you were able to create that all yourself, you say, in a couple days under Amiga Vision.
Actually, a couple evenings, yeah.
Really?
Using Amiga Vision and various Amiga graphic programs because everything's fully integrated
So what
together.
you're really doing is you're going out and getting multiple sources. In this case, you're getting video. In the earlier case, you were getting art and animation.
Right.
And then you're using this iconic authoring system to tie it all together.
That's right. It's all done with graphic commands. That's what makes Amiga Vision a little easier and less intimidating to the average user as opposed to more traditional computer
All right,
languages.
Lou Hedley, thank you very much. In just a minute, a look at one of the hottest Amiga add-ons, the Video Toaster, so stay with us. Well, we know the Amiga is good for music and animation, but it is also now the ultimate video machine, thanks in part to the Video Toaster. And here to show it off are Tim Jennison and Paul Montgomery of NewTek. Tim?
Now, let me see if I get this straight. In the past, to do a bunch of video controls, I've had to have machines that were $500,000, $100,000. Now I'm going to be able to do this with this card for $1,500?
Absolutely. Thanks for having us here. We showed the toaster recently at the National Association of Broadcasters show, and this is where the engineers go to buy their stuff. And they came by the booth and they said things like, this is unbelievable, this is revolutionary that you can do this in a box for this price. And this is what they were excited about. This is the Video Toaster.
Okay, so we've got your two little cameras here.
Right, and the toaster's installed in this Amiga 2000.
And the cameras are sort of inputs into your toaster control room, if you will.
I can take up to 4 cameras or VCRs.
Okay.
So first of all, the first thing you can do with 4 inputs is you can use the video switcher. So I've got one camera here on the screen. I can now do transitions from one camera to another, like this wipe. Here's some other wipes.
Okay,
Here's
so
a wipe with a border. And the basic dissolve, which any good $20,000 switcher can do, I guess. But where it gets interesting is the digital video effects.
Now, this is the part that you've never had in a home studio before, or low-end production.
That's for sure.
The digital video effects are the most expensive. They can sell for equipment up to $20,000 to $50,000 just for that. And it's a lot of fun.
Okay, here's an effect that I like a lot. If I could ask you to sort of get out of this shot for a second.
Get out of your camera's way.
Okay. That'll do. Okay, go ahead and sit back up again.
Okay.
And I'm going to beam you into your chair Star Trek style, energizing, probably 20 minutes or so. You can freeze live video and bring it into your paint box graphics. Okay, another major piece of this is the character generator. And a character generator is sort of an electronic typewriter, and you can put anything written on the screen, such as rolling credits. I can roll sideways too. Have really much higher quality.
Again, 16 million colors and 35 nanosecond resolution, which is the same thing you'd see on a network program.
And here's a screen that takes advantage of those features. Okay, what the people at NAB were most excited about was the 3D graphics system, which I'm entering right now. And with that, you can create a computer-rendered animation. Let me load a scene here. I've taken your Computer Chronicles logo and entered it into the 3D database here. And with this system, I can set up the start and end points of the animation. And then once I've got the camera angles and lighting and color all set up, then I render out to videotape. And we have a tape here.
If we could roll that piece of video and see what the end product was here.
It took a few hours to do.
Now, Paul, it does seem like magic. I mean, Tim was mentioning before, how do you do this? I mean, you've got every expensive machine you'd have in a TV studio coming off that one board. I mean, what's the trick?
Part of the magic is the Amiga. The Amiga of all the computers in the market is the only one set up with video timing. So you can easily add the circuitry we needed to do it. In the toaster, we have 4 custom chips, and those custom chips give the horsepower to do everything. Plus, we have 350,000 lines of code, mostly assembly language, running on the Amiga, and that's how it works.
And who do you see as the user now? Is this really designed for the broadcast professional? Is this going to be high-end home video? Where do you see it going?
Well, video is everywhere. It's sort of the new literacy. And people are using it in homes, schools, businesses. But the problem is that video you make with your camcorder looks amateurish and is boring, actually. So the video toaster is designed for anybody that wants to bring a network quality look to their videos.
And it is available as a product?
It's shipping to Amiga dealers now and has been for a while.
And the price is?
$15.95.
Okay, thanks very much, Tim and Paul. That's our look at the new Amigas. Stay tuned now for this week's Computer News.
Systems rolled out its first ever portable, the Tempo LX, weighing in at just under 7.
It tells you your next appointment at the top. The days when you have appointments are dark. There's a week. It tells you your next appointment at the top. The days when you have appointments are dark. There's a week at a glance available as well as a day at a glance. You can have a pop-up alarm as a flashing alarm across the top of the screen. You can time events for billing. You can keep to-do items at the top of the screen. You can time events for billing. You can keep to-do items which follow you forever. You can set recurring intervals and fix the day of the week or the number of days from the end of the month. No more pesky scheduling of weekday reminders. You can set alarming events to provide you advance notice before an appointment. You can indicate $130 from CE Software Incorporated of West Des Moines, Iowa. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
Apple is setting up a new toll-free customer support line to answer questions about its sales policies and programs. The number will offer customers a referral service, not technical support. The toll-free number is 800-776-2333. It's available weekdays, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Taking a look at this week's top software titles for the Macintosh, Mac Connection reports that After Dark from Berkeley Systems is still in the #1 slot. Sam is in second, followed by Adobe Type Manager and Quicken for the Mac. In 5th place this week is Disk Doubler from Salient. Rounding out the top 10 titles are Fullwrite, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Mac Utilities, and Pyro. And finally, one European computer company is putting its 2 cents in to protect the environment by packaging its diskettes in popcorn.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, which reminds you it's a federal offense to copy, and by Byte Magazine and Bix. For a transcript of this week's Computer Chronicles, send $4 to PTV Publications, Post Office Box 701.